the Ambassador of the United States to the Philippines, Mary Kay Los Carlson, and the Honorable Mayor Benji Magalong of the City of Baguio. I also spot in the audience Her Excellency Catherine McIntosh, the Ambassador of New Zealand to the Philippines, General Bronner, Undersecretary Mapagu, the Superintendent of the Philippine Military Academy, Vice Admiral Valencia, to our veterans, families of veterans, distinguished guests, good afternoon. Katagijay, kakabsat tayo nga tigiamyanan, aglalo katagitoy umili ditoy Bagyo, apo, tagitoy umay nga sa nga ili, na imbag, malem titunggal may sa kada kayo apo nga wan labas. I took great pains to be here today because this area and this day has a special significance to some of the members of my family. My mother, her mother and father, and her great-grandfather. My great-grandfather was the late John Joseph Murphy, who was a member of the crew of Colonel Kennon. After construction of the road, my great-grandfather stayed here and opened the Alhambra Theater, Baguio Bus, and others. My grandmother was wooed by a young man from Paniquitarlac, the late Governor Eduardo Coanco Sr., and they eloped. Tinaray ako. And my grandmother, by the way, was born in Jungle Town, raised here, and of course, when she was sent to, I believe, finishing school in Europe by her father, she met my grandfather, and then the rest is history. On the first day of the conflict, or the second day, my great-grandfather was interned in this place as a prisoner of war. Transferred to University of Santo Tomas, and then finally in the Los Baños internment camp. On this day, 80 years ago, my 9-year-old mother and her family were here in Gold River. My late grandfather, who was a governor of the province of Tarlac, refused to serve under the regime then and had to take refuge with my grandmother's family. They hid in Gold River. My mother has several stories of that time, but after the war, there was nowhere to go home to in Tarlac, neither in Tarlac nor in Manila. So my mother even studied here for 6 months before moving to Tarlac. So this would have been a special day for her, although for whatever reason she could not travel today. But I would have been glad to have brought her. So I took special pains to be here today in memory of my great-grandfather, who is in the Baguio Cemetery, my grandmother, and my mother, and my grandfather, and all the siblings of my mother. Upon reflecting, today must not merely be an ordinary Memorial Day. Must be a day of deep reflection. 80 years have passed since the end of conflict. And fortunately, we have not been involved in any conflict in the scale that we have seen in World War II. However, can we rest on our laurels? Have we prepared our country to deter any form of conflict, whether it is military non-military, against the elements, or economic competition or conflict. Those are the facts that we must review today. In my own remit with General Brodeur, we have found several gaps that we have to modify in order to build our spine or backbone of any country worth being called a country. That is our armed force, which serves in connection with other instruments of national power to deter any other from destroying the sanctity of our territory, our people, our freedoms, and our rights. There is no such thing as parity dealings with other countries, particularly if there is a controversy, if you do not have a strong armed force to back up diplomacy. And in this, under the leadership of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., we have been working double time to do what should have been done every day since 80 years ago. We cannot blame those who came before us because even after liberation, we were beset by internal conflicts. We have since hopefully settled these. And now we can deal on building up our country as a resilient country, as a country that is a partner in this value, that is protecting the international order, which, imperfect though as it may be, guarantees our freedoms and our liberties today. The other day alone, in the Shanghai Cooperative Organization Conference, we have seen a stated claim and aim of China to change the international order into an ostensibly fairer one. Let us examine. Here is a country that wants a fairer international order, but when you examine, is their society fair? Is their society free? The answer is obvious, no. So fair for these countries is a euphemism for advancing their agenda and interests which are contrary to our stated interests. And in this endeavor, this sacred endeavor, we are arm in arm, hand in hand, with our treaty ally, the United States of America, with our former foe, Japan, with Australia, with a host of other countries, South Korea, and countries like us, small countries like New Zealand, who we have recently signed a visiting forces agreement with. We must not be complacent, internally or externally, in an increasingly volatile world. We have to preserve the gains that were earned through the sacrifice of blood on both sides. If we do not learn from the lessons of the past and think, much as we want, that the world is a static place, if we do not have resolve, purpose, and unity in action in all facets of public and private life, even with individual behavior and discipline, then we have no business honoring those who have shed their blood. We have no business honoring our distinguished veterans there. So, this is not a call, but merely a reflection. A personal reflection of which I derive the resolve to do what I do. I'm not saying that this should be the resolve of everybody. However, I invite everybody to reflect. Will we still have our freedoms 80 years from now? Are we building a better Philippines for the future generations? Or will we leave them to inherit the problems that we are seeing today? Also, we should not bask in the glory of the past when the Philippines was the second in Asia. The past will never occur again. Although bad practices of the past may occur if we do not stop them from occurring today. Kadagijay si tatak na yung tiga amyanan, apo, ag yamanak manin, kadaytoy napatigagundaway, nga makikadwa kanyayo, nga kakailyan, nilaylang ko, nga tiga Bagyo. Si tatakneng, si sisingpet, si gagaget, nga tao nga tiga amyanan. Dayaw ko apo makikadwa kanyayo. Ket agbalintayon to, tipagarigan, kadag ito'y Pilipinas. Makarangay tayo, itikapya, mabati, ngam, no masapul, nga aramaten tay, ititured tayo, tapno sa lakniban, itiili tayo, adyay sangwanan tayo apo. Ket namnamaik nga tiga amyanan, una, no kaspagarigan demteng ti panawin nga masapul nga sakripisyo. So for everyone today, let us thank God for the blessings of peace.
Yes.
However, it will not always be there if we do not work towards a sustainable peace that is founded on principles of law, not multipolarity, but multilateralism, that is founded on a strong backbone of the country, your armed force, your economy, connectivity, infrastructure, and good governance. And this, we will work hand in hand to achieve. Thank you very much. Diyos gagina ako. Pasalamat.